I'm Cynthia Cohen, and I work at Brandeis University outside of Boston, the United States. There, I direct an inquiry into creative approaches to coexistence and reconciliation that's based in an ethics center. So I think I'm going to talk about an international community that I am a part of mostly theater artists, but also peace builders and artists working in other fields who are engaged in an inquiry into exploring the contributions of performance, in particular, to the creative transformation of conflict. One of the most impressive groups I know that has contributed to reconciliation is a group called El Grupo Cultural Yuyachkani, based in Peru, who's been working for over 40 years in that country, primarily doing work related to human rights through theater and ritual and workshops in the indigenous communities of the country. And they started out doing more kind of agitprop theater, and they realized that they were not connecting to the community, so they spent years learning mask-making techniques and costumes and language and drumming from these communities. At the end of Peru's civil war, there was a Truth and Reconciliation Commission, and the head of that commission had the wisdom to tap Yuyachkani to go into the communities where they already had relationships and to help prepare indigenous people that had been the most brutalized in the Civil War to give testimony before the Truth Commission. And they did this through rituals in public spaces and through creating performances based on people's stories and workshops, and many, many, many people testified before the Truth Commission that would not have, had it not been for Yuyachkani's work. In addition, because they work at such a highly refined aesthetic level as well as socio-political level and ethical level, they were able to bring the performance of these stories back to the capital city in Lima. So in this sense, they kind of embodied the various communities of the country and were able to communicate to people in Lima who had pretty much tried to stay quite oblivious to the horrors that the indigenous community had faced during the war. My understanding of reconciliation is it's a very long process, and I wouldn't say that embodied reconciliation per se, but that it was an embodied way of contributing to reconciliation. Reconciliation is a very demanding process that requires very strong communicative capacities to express oneself so others can hear, to listen so that even the difficult things can be said, and to begin to even understand when trust might be warranted, to imagine a new future. These capacities are capacities that any community wants to strengthen, but particularly in areas of violence, they're capacities that have often been eclipsed or suppressed or lost. And engaging in the arts can help restore those capacities by enlivening people, by activating their imagination. And the process of expressing ourselves in ways that are intellectual and embodied and emotional and spiritual all at the same time give us a feeling of life that supports us as we do the hard work of reconciliation. Also, the conflicts that we experience live in our bodies, not just in our minds. So purely rational approaches that are kind of head-oriented approaches often don't touch the conflict at a deep enough place. So if we're trying to transform something that lives in the cells and muscles of our bodies, we have to engage in processes that touch us there. Through experiences of colonization, the ways of being and knowing of many peoples in the world were violated themselves. So there's a kind of violence that we refer to as epistemic violence. If the processes of reconciliation don't return dignity to those processes, those ways of knowing and being, then the reconciliation process itself can be another violation. If you want to restore trust, it's important to acknowledge the harm that was done to people's way of making meaning. And one way to do that is to engage in rituals that reflect those ways.